Okay, good morning. So I'm 40 days into the stroke thing. I'm just going to go through my routine of what I do every day, just for anybody that might be interested. This is not a educational video. This is just my daily routine. Every day I get up and I do this. So 40 days into this, and I'm telling you, 40 days ago I couldn't walk and I couldn't use my hand and I couldn't do much of anything. But today I can get myself up off the floor and I can walk. I go out and I walk a quarter to a half a mile every morning before I start my day. That's my morning thing. And watch a couple of videos. You know, I watched a couple of videos today. And I try to add a couple little exercises into my routine every day. So it's gone from about a half hour to an hour now it takes me to do this whole thing. And I'm sweating pretty good by the time I get done. So, you know, I'll just go ahead and start. You know, I start over here with a little arm stretch, and I'll just go ahead and go through that. Oh yeah, by the way, I just like to say, you know, yesterday I did see a neurosurgeon or a neurologist for the first time since I had the stroke. And, you know, he was pretty positive. He was pretty funny. We were laughing pretty good in the office there about, you know, some of the basic things. Because, you know, my thumb does not work. My other fingers are working okay now. You know, I can actually do stuff. I can open doorknobs and, you know, I can push myself up off the bed a little bit and use my hand. But my thumb is not coming back. And he said that it takes a really big part of the brain to work the thumb. Then he made a little joke, a neurologist joke. He said, if dolphins had thumbs, they'd rule the world because they got a bigger brain than us. But they don't have a thumb. So he said that's why the thumb takes a long time to start functioning again, you know. And I asked him about that 90 days thing, you know, that everything you're going to get back, you get it back in 90 days or it's gone forever. It's an old myth, you know. It's not true. You can keep growing and getting better for years and years after. I mean, looking at Kevin, I put his link in the last video I did. You know, he's been recovering for 15 years, and he said, you know, I try to take his attitude towards it that everything I do from here on out is therapy. So that's the way I look at it. You know, I go around and I just open doorknobs just for fun, because now I can open a door. You know, I can open doorknobs, and I couldn't do that, you know, a month ago. So yeah, very positive. You know, he also made a joke about that song. He goes, you know, face it, we're not as young as we used to be. And he was in his 70s. He was a neurosurgeon, and now he's a professor out at the UW, and he kind of does some volunteer work down at the clinic where I go, at my little hospital down there, CMAR. So he had a lot of good things to say. You know, he told me that I'm a young guy and that I can really come back to maybe 100% of what I was, but he wouldn't guarantee that. You know, he can't do that. He said, you know, good chances, but, you know, he said, stay at what you're doing. And, you know, I'm still looking for a physical therapist, a good one. You know, I've been to a couple already, and, you know, they're not giving me the same thing that I'm doing right here at home, because I've come up with my own little routine that's pretty good by just watching Dr. Tara on YouTube, because I'm a YouTube guy. You know, I started making videos just for fun, not really to make money, but you know, I find all my information on YouTube, whatever I want to do, whether it's fixing a truck or building things, or now it's physical therapists. I've subscribed to a few of them already, and I get up and watch videos every morning, and I try to add some of the things that they teach me, or the things that they're showing, into my daily routine. Like just flexing my foot so that I can get a better step, and working on my gait, which I don't even know what the hell that was a month ago. But, you know, your gait is just your walking pattern. Trying to get a really good walking pattern going on, because I have my walking pattern is not right yet. And when I do my walk around the neighborhood, I still bring my cane with me just in case, you know. So I'm just going to go ahead and run through a couple of these exercises that I do, just for anybody that might be interested. And, you know, so you can come up, if you are a stroke patient, you could, or a stroke victim, maybe some of it is something you can incorporate into your daily routine if you need it, you know. But that's kind of why I do these videos. You know, I figured I would document what I'm doing, and it might be educational to somebody that actually needs to know this stuff. Or if you know somebody that's had a stroke, you can help them to recover. But I just start out with this little bicycle right here, and I just use it to twist my arm, and I just go ahead and do both. Just to get my arm totally extended, like they say, and to get my grip on that handle. You can see I'm gripping that pretty good. When I first started doing this, I didn't have that weight on there. Now you can see I have a little weight that let me get that camera and I'll show you. So there's a little weight. I put that little hand weight on there just to add a little weight to it, which is really kind of easy to do. Now I can do it pretty easy. But I didn't have that weight when I started doing this. I was just using the weight of the bicycle, and it's pretty lightweight. But I just take it and I just pull my arm back, and I do 10 of those. I do 10 sets of everything 3 times. And then my workout is pretty much done right now. 9, 10. Then I turn my hand over like that, upside down, and I do it again. So it's kind of like a curl. Yeah, this might be boring for some people, but you know, if you're interested, this is what I do. Then I work on my toe, that dorsiflexion thing. Let me move the camera over here. So I got this little bench that I made many years ago. And when I first started doing this, I didn't have this extra weight on it right here. This is just for weight. This thing on top I clamped on. So I go down there and I take that thing and I just lift it up with my toe. I do 10 of those. Then I do a thing where I do a little stair stepper. So I just basically hold on to that bicycle here for a handle because I don't have one of those special stools they have. And I just step up and down. I do 10 of those. Then I just step over here and I put my foot underneath the couch like that, and I just lift up the couch as hard as I can with my toe just to build that muscle. I do that, and I know I can get a lot more strength with my right foot. I can lift up the whole damn couch. But with this foot, it's still pretty weak. There's a lot of weird muscles in that foot that I never knew we had. So this is my little toy box here. I just sit down on the end of my couch here. So I either start off with my balls or my little cones here. These little cones, when I first started doing this a month ago, I couldn't do these cones. I could barely I would get my hand on there like this, and I used my ring finger just to catch the bottom of it, but I couldn't flex my arm like this at all. But now I can actually grab them, and I can set that down on the table like that. And I burn through those. You know, it's motor skills and strength. I really need strength. That's one thing that the neurologist said yesterday is, you know, you're getting a lot of the motor skills back really weak. I got these rubber bands I bought. I use those to just stretch my arm out like that. I do that 10 times. I take these balls, and I just kind of threw a whole bunch of stuff in here. These are little weights here, and I picked those up with my pinky because it seems like my pinky is weaker than the rest of my finger. I just reach in there and I grab those with my pinky and set them aside. Now these little bastards here, you know, you'd think they'd be so easy. They don't weigh anything. They're just little foam balls. But you know, I could pick them up before, but I couldn't set them down. I couldn't release my hand. So, you know, now I can release them pretty good. And one of the things that Nathan has, you know, he talks about stimulating the nerves using this brush. So when I first started doing this, I would pick up my balls and, you know, I just couldn't, my hand didn't work enough to actually release it. So he has a technique where you scrape the back of your arm to stimulate the nerves in your hand so that you can open that ball. I'm not sure if it worked or not, or if it's just time that we did it, but I do it anyway because I will try anything. I am one of those guys that I will try whatever it takes to make things work. So I just burn through those balls. Now these balls, these are those hand squishy balls. They're heavier than the other ones, and I couldn't pick these up in the beginning. They were too heavy, and I didn't have enough grasp. But I actually can grab these now and squeeze them a little bit, you know, and work those muscles in my hand. But you know, I tell you, that pinky side of my hand is weaker, and that's because the connections, you know, it's another one of those things. The extremities, the furthest away from your brain, are the ones that wake up last. But I can pick those up now, and they were always easy to let go of because they're heavy and they just fall out of my hand. Now, these little things here are part of a little kit I bought. You know, you're supposed to put your, you know, for opening your fingers. Well, that's not there yet, man. You know, I can't open my hands up like that, but my thumb, I can move it in and I got grab with it, but it doesn't open up. Won't open up yet. So I'll just go ahead and go through the rest of my balls here. Another thing too is my arm movement, you know. My arm used to be all over the place, and now I can actually guide my arm where I want it to go. I can hear my cat out there. Well, I can hear Stephanie's cat out there whining to come back in. And I got golf balls in here too. Golf balls make my fist cringe up a little bit. This is just stuff I kind of came up with on my own. It's stuff to do. It's another little egg-shaped thing. Little rings. And there's that slide that I bought. I pick it all up. Another. And I threw a couple of water bottle caps in here just to try to work on pinching those. So the hand is definitely something I'm really concerned with, you know. I can actually, they talk about, you know, you got to practice the touching. See, I never could touch my pinky doing that. Not with my right hand. With my left hand, you know, I got to where I can touch my fingers. I can touch 3 of them again. Very weak, but I can do it. So as far as grabbing, he talks about underneath your arm for the grabbing and on top of your arm for the releasing, if anybody's interested in that. And I got this little bar here that it's an old closet rod that I had laying out in the shop. So I grab that and I do some curls with it. I do 10 of those. Then I'll switch my arm over like this, and I'll do some stuff where I hold it straight out and go up with it, back down and in. I'll do 10 of those. Like I say, I just add little things to this every day, so you know, it's always changing it up. do that, and then I got these balls here. This here is this thing is 3 pounds. That was hard to lift up. It's very hard to lift up, and I couldn't move it with my arm, but now I can actually roll it up into my hand, and I kind of do some little wrist exercises. Bend that up 10 times, and extend my arm out with it in my arm. Do that 10 times. That requires a little bit of work for me still. My arm is weak, and I'll drop it in the bucket. I got this basketball here. It's a little basketball. We play catch with it. Maybe I'll get that in this video. My son throws me the ball and we played catch. So, I picked that up, put it in the bucket. So I'm grateful I can do that. I'll pick these back up and put them back in a little toy box. Alright, so that's one of my little hand things I do. Usually about now I'm getting some good tunes going and listening to the music. So at the therapist's office they had these little hurdles. So I got a 2x4. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Working on these steps. So I come out here and I do some squats. I hold my arms straight out best I can. You know, try to make a fist and hold my arm, and I do 10 of these. Then I'll actually do these little sit downs. And Dr. Tara, she talked about, you know, I did them with my feet together to begin with, but she talks about keeping your my stroke leg towards the back and my good leg out front, so that when I stand up, I'm posting on this leg. So I do 10 of those. And here I try to hold my arms out best I can, so I'm kind of working my leg and my arms at the same time. I just do stand up 10 times. Okay, then I move over here to this little hurdle. Here's where I'm stepping over. You know, I'm learning to step over and try to get a good gait going on. This is part of the walking pattern. Here I'm just, and this is all from Dr. Tara on YouTube there. You should look her up if you're needing some physical therapy. She's the one. She's a neurophysical therapist. So she gets into the real working orders of the body and the brain and the nervous system, how it all works. So here we're just basically stepping over and learning how to step. So here I'm posting up on the bad leg and stepping over with the good leg, which is harder because this leg is the one, it's hard to stand on that leg. So I do 10 of those, 3 sets of 10. But I just do 10 at a time. I think that's 4. So when you're stepping over with the stroke leg, I really focus on trying to lift my toe up and land on my heel first. That's what they call that dorsiflexion. Trying to work on that dorsiflexion. basically pull them towards me. Do that 10 times. Then I'll do them as a curl type thing. Well, for some reason I could not get my GoPro tripod to lower down. So I just set it down on the stool there, improvise. So here what I do is, again, I'm working that pinky because it's kind of weak. And I'll pick up these bigger weights. Just set them over there. And move them back. And of course, this is the beginning stages here. Like I say, I'm only 40 days into this, so I'll be adding more strength, adding more exercises to this. And I got this little bar, this little dumbbell rod here with no weights on it, of course. I pick that up, turn it over, and I'll do some curls with that. I know this doesn't look like much to most people, but you know, until I'm not just a therapist showing you how to do this. I've actually had a stroke, and I'm really trying to relearn how to do all these things. So then I get my arm and I stretch my arm out just to make sure it doesn't get a, you know, because they say spasticity is a big deal with this, and I haven't experienced a lot of spasticity yet. A little bit in my hand and a little bit in my arm when I yawn. And I have this weird thing when I yawn, my stroke hand opens up like that when I'm yawning, which is a weird thing. And I looked it up on the internet. It's got a name, but it's kind of a rare phenomenon, they say, and they don't really know why it happens to some. It doesn't happen to everybody. It happens to some people. It happens to me. But from what I read, it's a good sign that there is some connection to everything. Because when my hand is wide open like that, when it's doing it, I actually try to bend my thumb and it springs back, which means there's some connection there. So I stretch that out, then I just put my wrist over the edge here, and I just work my wrist up and down like this. That's a big deal, man. I could not do that. I do that 10 times. Then I work it around in a little circle, which is another big deal. You know, it doesn't look like much, but you know, that's a big deal. Go the other way. Of course, I do all this stuff 10 times. And I get my hand up here on the bench. And I'll make a little fist. And I'll do the same thing. In the beginning, you know, I'll probably get some of Stephanie and Charles doing their therapy stuff they do on me, but Stephanie was just doing that by hand, and I still do it by hand too. I usually do it as good as I can by myself. Then I'll reach down there and get my hand. And the next one I do, this is where my finger curls up a little bit, and I'll just move my wrist back and forth like that. Doesn't look like much, but you know what, that's a big deal. You know, I can do it no problem. You do it with this hand, it's no problem. This hand here is so weak. The muscles are so weak in it still. And that's what the therapist said. He said, you can move it all, it just has no strength. I do that 10 times. And then I'll actually reach down here and I'll make sure that it's flexing the whole direction. Like that. Up here on this edge like this. I do it here so I have something to hang on to. I'll get my heels hanging over and I'll tweak them down like that. I'll lift up. So I will come over here to this bench here and I'll work on these little flexors. do these. Do 10 with each foot. Of those, and I do 10 more of these. Now this little thing here, this is where you try to learn to stand on one foot. I just go. And I'll just try to stand on one leg without holding on. Very difficult. This leg, no problem. I tell you, that's where you really learn those little muscles in your leg that you never knew you really even had, but they don't work right. Really hard. And I do these things. I do 10 of those. Okay, when I get done doing all that, I do 10 sets of 10, and I do them go around and do that 3 times. I do that twice a day. And at the end of that set, I jump on the elliptical here for 10 minutes. And when I do my evening set, I jump on this bicycle over here. My brother brought over this bike he had that I can get up and down off of. I can't get up and down on that one. It's just a little too flimsy, just can't quite do it. So I'll get up on the elliptical here and show you how I do that. So my little process for this is make sure it's all the way down, get my good foot up there, hang on tight, get my bad foot up there, and work that out. I'll tell you, the hardest part is just hanging on with my hand. So I do that for 10 minutes. I won't bore you with all that. Getting off, a little different. I get one foot like that, then I step down like that. Get down. So I'll just walk here once and show you my gait pattern. So this is where I'm at with my walking. If I take it slow, it's pretty good. When I try to go fast, it gets a weird little wobble to it. You can hear my foot drop in there. That's that dorsiflexion, not really working great. I know it doesn't seem like much, but you know, it's been a hell of a lot of work just getting to this point. And like I said, I can go out and walk a half a mile. I bring my cane with me just in case. And I'll show some other stuff in another video. But I'm just going to end this one for now. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody out there, and I hope somebody gets something out of this. You know, get a little bit of hope, because you know, attitude is everything. I got to be grateful. When I go out there and walk around in the morning, you know, even in the rain, I just I'm just glad to be alive and glad to be experiencing all this too, because it could have been a lot worse. You know, a guy I know, well, a vlogger in the Philippines, he just died this week. You know, he had a massive stroke and died over there. And you know, it can happen to anybody. But the neurologist yesterday gave me a lot of hope. You know, he told me I was a young guy still and that I have a chance to become pretty damn good again. So anyway, thanks for watching and we'll catch you in the next one.